my dad has always valued acquaintances over his son. I never got the feeling that he loved me. I've always got the feeling of hostility and that he favored my sister, which is fine. My sister's a great person, but it has nothing to do with you, Jerry. You didn't contribute to that whatsoever. It was random. And I thought you were making up for it by letting me stay there, but once again, because he's just always had this default assumption that I am bad and that I'm evil in some way, and I just do wrong. Even though I was there for 4 months and we didn't have any issues, you're just gonna take some random stupid ass neighbor. You're just gonna assume that some dumbass neighbor is being honest and truthful and forthright and noble, and I'm not. That's really bad. And I've never been able to figure out you, Jerry, whether you're just that dumb. I'm starting to come to the conclusion that you're just dumb. You're just a dumb person. It's not that you're so mean or whatever. You're just dumb. You're just that's what most faults in people come down to: lack of intelligence. Um, like when I was 4 or 5, and we lived on Second Street in Carbondale, and my dad got upset with us. I couldn't even remember why, and he started hurling my trucks, like my toys, down the street in front of these senior citizens that lived across the street and smashing them. And then he came back and all my toys were smashed. He's like, "See what you made me do?" And those old people won't even talk to me anymore because he used to converse with them. And that should have been my first clue there. It's like they didn't want to talk to you anymore because you're a crazy person. And so there was that. And there was when we were in first grade, it was like, "What do you want?" It was kind of like this, "Hey, follow a career for a day," and I wanted to follow like what a policeman did. We're talking about a first grader. Doesn't mean that's what I'm going to do for a living because I liked T.J. Hooker and some of those cop shows, Knight Rider, and I liked some of those cop shows. So I was like, "Oh, a cop." He got real upset that I wanted to follow a cop, and and he wouldn't allow me to do it. He wouldn't allow me to follow a cop for the day in first grade. Weirdo. Um. So there was that, and I remember being thrown down and bleeding as a kid, and even my friend Brian, he came and we were just having a good time, and my dad like shook him, and the neighbor had to come over and say, "Hey, don't touch my child. I don't care what he did. Do not touch my child." Well, he did this. He did this. Talking about a lunatic, and all his friend like he had a lot of friends because he's a fun guy to party with. He can be a fun guy. Um, but I think after they get to know him a while, after a few many sober outings, it's like this guy's kind of annoying, and I don't want to be around this guy because his phone's not exactly ringing off the hook. What you did recently, Jerry, is unforgivable. We didn't have a problem for 4 months staying with him, and I really appreciate the fact that he let me come to his home and stay with him. Um, but your dumbass townspeople. So I was walking by this girl, and she was obviously on a date with this guy, and he said, "You need to enjoy the beach more." And she said, "You know what? That's where I spent the majority of my life." And I it wasn't a good joke, but it was just a joke. I was joking. It was obvious that I was joking. It's how could you even take it that seriously? I just said, "Yeah." She just decided she wanted to be cold and depressed. And would you mind your own business? Oh, these crazy people! There's so many crazy people today. And I hate that. That set me off. That set me off. And I said, "You're calling me crazy? You have a dog and you're eating a burger? That dog gave its life so you could feed your fat stomach." And honestly, I try to be a vegetarian. I'm not always successful, and I'm not going to go off on any person that's just eating meat. But she was very rude to me, and that was my angle that I took. That was the angle that I had. That's what I could use against her. So she comes to my dad. Later on, it's realized that she's a neighbor. She comes to my dad and explains that to him. And then this other lady, this other neighbor, that so there's this guy. They're both former drug addicts, and he's just like constantly coming in there, coming and going, getting edibles, something from his roommate. I don't even know what's going on. He's just constantly coming and go. This is what she said. I've never conversed with this girl in my life. This is her boyfriend. I've never seen her. I've seen her maybe once. Oh, he said, because you know how they love to jump on the bandwagon. He said that I was Sean and I were no longer welcome there. He used that against me too. He used that against me also. And you're gonna take the side of some random townspeople. I told him this is why I left. Try to get the hell out of this place to begin with. People are just in your business for no reason. He's taking the side of these random townspeople. He doesn't even get my side of it. So I'm thinking this whole time that he's upset about Charlie being there. So I'm like treating him very, very, yeah. I happy Easter, because it's like you're dealing with a crazy person. So I didn't find out until today what actually happened is these stupid townspeople, these neighbors. One of them had a legitimate reason to be angry with me, because the altercation did take place. She started it, but did take place, and the other one piggybacked on top of her and can make complete lies. And you want to move to a small town? This is what it's like. Don't ever move to a small town. It's horrible. And I and this was another one of my messages to him. I've had gunshots several times outside my window involving my neighbor beneath us, and we're just like, I hope we don't get shot. We would never think to going to and complaining, you little bitches. It's the fact that I had gunshots outside my place and I didn't do anything, and I didn't think it was that big a deal. And the fact that they're trying to go to my dad behind my back, and also, why are you trying to poke the bear? So if you're afraid, if you think there's an issue, why most normal parents are going to take the side of their son. Why are you going to my dad and and thinking that he's going to take, well, I guess it's obvious that he's going to take your side, but why would you poke the bear if there's such an issue there? Why are we losing this onions? um so the other thing is, I told him, when I was a kid, you threw my toys down the street, smashed them. When I got married, you tried to feel up my wife. You were touching my wife like underneath. You were totally hitting on her and totally feeling her up, like right below her breast. And I didn't do anything about it. I'm like, you know what? He's been drinking, no big deal, and we'll just let that slide. And he's just been an appalling person. And now the latest is he's just um, automatically taking the side of these random neighbors. Let me see if I can pull up what. Let me think if I can remember what else he's done some horrific things to my life. Throwing me down when I was 7 years old, blood coming out. Oh, parent teacher conferences. It wasn't even parent teacher conferences. So they got pulled into my school, and because they thought I was being abused, and they thought I was being abused, and all I could hear, I just heard one thing, was my mom saying, "And he's so mean to his sister." Is that one you want to do when you have when you're being an alleged child abuser? Is to hurl more accusations at the alleged victim? Is that how you want to handle that? Just hurl more accusations at the 6-year-old alleged victim? And okay, so now what he's saying, after all that, I brought all that up, smashing my toys, hitting on my wife. Oh, I thought he wanted to be friends when I went to college. Oh, he wouldn't let me go when I got accepted to UNLV. He wouldn't let me go to UNLV, even though it was half the cost of CU Boulder, even though it was out of state tuition. Um, so the last thing that he did was it was just that real. I'm keeping too much of an eye on the viewers coming and going. When it reduces, I have a mental recognition of that, and that throws me off. And thank you three for being there, but you get the idea. You get the idea, and it's going to be a wild ride from here on out because I'm in a hotel now. I got to deliver Charlie tomorrow. I'm not going to stay in a somewhat cold climate. We're going to be off to the West Coast. Whether it's hitchhiking, taking a bus, we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're going to continue to be with you, and thank you so much.